Time to get up and get live. Get everything situated here. Make sure we are up and running. And we're going to be jumping into the games in the third season of my Journeyman playthrough with Florida A&M, the Rattlers. Alright, so it looks like we are up. Everything is working. So here is the plan. Now, last time you'll remember we got through the early signing period. I got Craig Montgomery, who's the biggest recruit that we've gotten yet, not necessarily in terms of ranking, but his camp performances lead me to believe that he's going to be an exceptional player, and we are very, very much looking forward to his arrival on campus next year. But in the meantime, we got to go out and play some ball games. We've got a decent squad this year. You know, we've developed nicely. We're getting better. We still have 5 scholarships left to give out. We have offered 4, if I remember correctly. Yes, 4. We still have the 1 scholarship that we're holding on to. Most of my visits, if you watched last time, went really poorly. So I'm not getting too much more involved in the recruiting right this second. I'm letting my assistant handle it for a minute. Let me check out. I'm not sure if chat is up and working or not. Let's see here. Alright, there we go. Alright, so the recruiting is what it is. I'm going to let the assistant handle it for a while. I'm not going to interfere. I've got 4 offers out. If they come through, that's great. If they don't, I've got what I need to. I really need to land, I believe, a point guard just for some depth. Other than that, we're going to let those chips fall where they may. So we are moving forward. We're going to get through this season, hopefully through all the games of the regular season and postseason. This, in the past, took me like an hour 15, hour and a half, give or take. So as far as what to look for in this stream, look for the whole season. I'm going to get it all the way until we're eliminated one way or another. Hopefully, I think last episode I called my shot. Last time we went 13 wins. I do think we overachieved a little bit, but we didn't lose anybody. We only lost 1 player off that squad. It was actually a transfer. So I'm shooting for 15 wins this year, and I want to win at least 2 games in that conference tournament. So let's see what happens. Started off on the road, losing to Georgia Southern. Wild had a big game. Didn't look like any of our younger guys jumped in. So, not the best of starts, but hey, on the road. Throughout this save, we've had a lot of difficulty on the road, so not a shock. Let's just see how we move forward. My tablet's being odd. I was trying to get everything set up as usual, but it's not wanting to play along today. So, live and learn. Still an experience. I think this is our 3rd or 4th stream here on GM Games. Let's see. Should be 2, 3, 4. Actually, this is our 5th Draft Day Sports College Basketball 2020 stream. We also do a TEW stream. So, we're learning. We're moving along. So, here comes our next game. We've actually got Cornell at home this time. They're 0-1 on the road, 1-1 on the season. So, let's hope we get started off here on the winning track and get that first win out of the way. Let's not give Cornell their first road win of the year. The Big Red. About to get snake bitten. Maybe. We'll see. No. Oh, we got snake bitten. Giles at least played well. Terrell Wright, there was another big recruit we were looking forward to. But Cornell comes into Florida A&M and wins by 2. That hurts. Man, I cannot stand losing home games. We're not good enough to make up for that on the back end of the schedule. So that really does hurt us. Can't be having that sort of thing going on. I don't know why this tablet's being off tonight. But All right, moving on. Plowing forward here. We're going to get that first win soon. We should have had it against Cornell. I'm really disappointed in that. But we'll get there. This team's going to be all right. I do need to check my depth. I don't know that I set up the roster prior to ending the last stream. I know we were really just looking at getting the recruiting out of the way. So let's jump over there, and I usually let the AI handle that big picture. At least, especially while I'm at these smaller schools, I haven't had a ton of recruiting. I don't have a huge feel for all of it. What's up, Mr. Louisville? What's up, Regalia? Good to have you here, buddy. So we're just making sure we got this set up right. Yeah, I think we did already have the AI run through that. And you can see we're really, really going heavy into one guy at each position. Looks like we're running our center. Oh, okay. We're starting 2 centers and moving Montgomery over to center here in the second half instead of playing Hinton any more minutes. Okay. Yeah, that works for me. Let's move on ahead with this. I really wish we hadn't lost Towns. That was... it hurt to have a pretty talented... not in the big scheme of things, but, at least as far as this school goes, he was a very serviceable point guard. And so, if we don't live up to expectations this year, that's going to be my scapegoat. I'm blaming it all on Towns. I don't know why he was upset, man. He was a starting point guard. So, Galia, are you the one that came in and took Kentucky in the league? I know somebody took him. Yeah, I knew it. And right as I was asking the question, he's admitting to it. Hey, you ended up with a nice little top 10 recruiting class there for your efforts, I didn't get to see who Kentucky recruited, but I definitely saw that it landed in the top 10. Oh, my. Florida A&M got a trip all the way out to Washington State. This could go either way. Road games against Power 5 teams, not so good. Washington State, on the other hand, also not so good. So, we lost by 10. Not shocking. That's all right. Power 5 teams, even a bad one at home is going to be a really, really tough win for us. So, while we look to get our first win here, I just need to dream up some smack talk for Agalia here, trying to walk into our online multiplayer league, coming straight in with my rival Wildcats. I don't know if you caught my recruiting class or if you've seen my roster. And as we speak of the devil, there's UK beating Tulsa at home. Tulsa's been tough in this save so far, so at least they got to feel good about themselves not getting upset there. But it's gonna be a battle, buddy. I don't know if it's gonna be in Lexington or Louisville this year, but I'd actually talked about potentially streaming that game if we can figure it out. Myself and the commissioner Justin, we're trying to figure out if we can. I know it's possible that we can stream with 2 people commenting at the same time. I've seen lots of other streamers do it. However, we're still new to it, so I'm not sure exactly how to do that. If anybody that's watching happens to know, hit me up, let me know. Something we're still looking into, but if we can do it, we want to run commentary on a handful of games this year. Man, just brutal here. That loss to Cornell really hurt us because we're on the road so much in the preseason. Headed down to Central Florida, who's taken a lot of the recruits from us, so we were targeting better players, lost them to other Florida schools. That doesn't bode well for this game. Oh, but we win! 80-71. Marcus Story throwing down 21 points. I mean, he didn't even get a double-double, but he was flirting with a triple-double. Look at that. 6 assists out of the big man. Jeff Wild was 1 rebound short of a double-double. Cedric Montgomery chipped in with 12 and 6. So there we go. We get the first win of the year on the road against Central Florida. Kind of makes up for our early loss at home. Yeah, man, this is everybody's first multiplayer league in Draft Day Sports College Basketball. We're all working through it together, especially because this is a really big league. I think it's the biggest multiplayer league that's running for this game out there. And given that this is a new platform, a new engine or design or whatever you want to call it, Montgomery signed his letter of intent, so that's all good. With this being a new design this year, everybody's working through it for the first time. We're running into new things every day. We've had excellent support from the devs, though. Can't speak highly enough about them. It's been really nice to see that. Anytime we hit the littlest hiccup, they're right on it. So we got a lot of support, but it is a learning experience for us all. So don't feel left out. That was all of our first season, so you're not that far behind, buddy. And we'll all learn it together. It's been really fun so far. If you didn't see, we did stream our entire Final Four as well as the final game. So that was really cool. And that's something that we want to continue developing. Like I said, if we can figure out that dual streaming deal, that's certainly something we want to do. I think it would be fun and engaging for everybody, and mostly just for the fact Justin likes to talk a lot of smack when there's not another voice there to tell him to knock it off, and he likes to direct it towards me, so I need to be there to stand up for myself a little bit. All right, so here we go on the road, but we're headed to UC Santa Barbara, who haven't won a game yet this year. Let's hope this isn't their day. It would be another road game, but as you can see, it can happen. Central Florida, that's a pretty good win, I think, for Florida A&M. So let's see if we can get the Gauchos here. Headed all the way to UC Santa Barbara. Can we get our second win of the year? No. We lost by 7. Story was still all right. Wild was all right. Shamari Walters going 10-12. Jafar Slay? Is his name really Jafar? Isn't that the bad guy from Aladdin? Is that right, Jafar? Jafar Slay goes for 20 points, throws in 2 blocks. George James, I think that's, he went 5-3, so definitely not any relation to LeBron. I think any relation to LeBron automatically scores like 15 a game, right? So, George James, who's definitely not related to LeBron, and the bad guy from Aladdin took us out. But it was on the road, Cleveland Smith, that's a good one, 13-8. Not only is the format on the tablet a little bit off today, but it wants to close out every couple of seconds. It usually does not do that. So all kinds of fun on the technical end of it, but we are 1-4. We've only had 1 home game so far. So here comes our second home game. As long as we can stay even on that, as long as, if we drop a home game but pick one up on the road, I'll take that. So we're going to get, I hit simulate for these other games a little too quickly before I saw who we're getting. The Binghamton Bearcats. Wow. All right, so Binghamton at 2-3 is coming into our place. Got to win. You don't want to drop these. Makes it too difficult to make up later. Let's go, Rattlers. There we go, 65-52. Jeff Wild, Marcus Story holding it down. You can see Aiken Fields pitching in a little bit there. Marquise Land, 9-6-2 for the Bearcats. The other Bearcats. If you'd have told me the Bearcats were coming into town, I'd have been looking for UC. Of course, I'm in northern Kentucky, so I'm probably a little bit, prone to thinking about Cincinnati. Oh, looked like we had some injuries there. One of them was Terrell Wright. What was all that? Let's go check it out. So, Pete Sanchez has a bruised thigh, and Terrell Wright has a mild concussion. So let's go in, rearrange these depth charts to take all of that into account. And that didn't really do much. It does have Hinton playing some center now. It's added a little bit of playing time for Hinton, and I guess took it away from Montgomery. So that's interesting. Maybe the AI sees him as a player that's developing or something of that nature, but it didn't really change around too much based on the injury. So 2-4. If I was looking at the schedule to begin the year, I might have got the games wrong, but Agalia said Binghamton's who he started his Journeyman save with. That's awesome, man. I'm glad that, no offense to your save, I'm glad that we got the home win there. I'm sure that you had them all coached up and had those big time recruits in there, and it would have been a completely different story had I run into your Binghamton squad. This one wasn't doing so hot, and we were able to hold on at home. So, like I said, I might have got the games wrong, but 2-4 is probably what I would have predicted for this point in the season. I kind of screwed up. I called my shot 15 wins, and that was before I even knew. First of all, I didn't know Towns was leaving at that point. Second of all, I hadn't even looked at our schedule. I had no idea who's on the schedule, home games, any of that. I think I may have counted the home games versus away games toward the end of last stream, but I clearly don't recall. That was 4 or 5 days ago. I took some time off over the weekend to do a little bit of family time. So now we got Longwood coming in. I do not know. I have no idea what their mascot is, but we're about to find out. The Longwood Lancers. Interesting. All right, let's see if we can take care of that. Got to take care of home court. No bad losses. Of course there's bad losses. We're at Florida A&M. So Marcus Story had a decent game. Couldn't hold out. Robert Marshall for Longwood scores 22. And now we are back to one game behind when we talk about, just holding out, winning all of our home games. We've lost 2 home games, only once on the road. Just really disappointing to lose to schools like Cornell and Longwood at home. But, that's what happens. You take over a school with non-prestige, come in here with a coach that's completely just no talent at all. And sometimes it happens. The streaming schedule for this week, I would like to be streaming. Is today already Tuesday? I would like to be streaming at least every weekday. I don't know what the weekend will hold. The weekends are always a bit fluid. Last weekend, I honestly expected my schedule over last weekend to be a little bit different than it was. But you know how life happens. So I will be on every weeknight, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I would like for one of those nights to be a TEW night. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I ate before I came down here. I would like for one of those nights to be a TEW night, but I am working to get my save to the right point. We'll see what we get here at home against Eastern Washington, and we lose again. I can tell you right now, we are not headed for 15 wins. This is going to be ugly. For TEW, I do want to get you up to, it's a fictional universe, so basically my wrestling company's what they would consider their WrestleMania, their end of season main event type of thing. That's what I want to stream for next time. So I'm still about 2 months away from that as far as in-game time goes. So I need to simulate through that. I need to find some time to book some shows. I need to book about 8 more shows, maybe 9, so that I can get you all up to TCW Total Mayhem. But I'd like to do that sometime this week. I can't guarantee it, but I will be on the next 3 nights for sure, either bringing you this game, or I could be bringing you, if I can get ready for my TEW save, we could do that. I also kind of kicked around the idea of branching out and doing a little bit of Football Manager. I've got the Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball, if anyone was interested in seeing that. I don't have a great solo save going in that, but I could certainly do it once. College is just my thing, man. Being from the Louisville area, college, there is no pro team there really. The closest would be the Pacers, I suppose. So it really is just a college basketball town, a college basketball state between Louisville, Kentucky. So college basketball is my thing. I just prefer it over the pro game. But I do want to bring you guys a nice variety of games, and I want to bring you guys stuff you want to see. It's more fun if we're all enjoying what we're watching. So you all have recommendations out there, things you'd like to see, let me know. I've got a pretty good collection of sports sim games. Anything in this genre, I'm happy to stream for you guys, whether I'm good at it or not. If I do Football Manager, you can all laugh at how terrible I am at that game. Here we go, Florida A&M in Western Illinois. We're headed out, back on the road. Let's see if we can do the Road Warrior deal. No, we got beat by 23. Man, this is hurting this year. It's hurting. Starting off 2-7. Every other year we've basically been 500 in the preseason, and this year we're just getting smoked. So we've got to hope that our conference is going to lighten up a little bit this year and we can pull it out. Otherwise, it's going to be a long season for us. Going to be really tough to gain too much prestige from a school standpoint if we're moving forward like this. What I can look forward to, though, as the bright spot is we've just got, I mean, it's not a 5-star recruit coming in. It's not a top 10 player in the nation. But for this school, it's a huge recruit coming in for next year. So we're definitely going to look forward to that. And hopefully, we're not done. We'll add to it a little bit. I don't expect to add anything else that caliber. I'm just looking to round out the depth and then keep on growing as a coach and a program. And hopefully we get there sooner rather than later. So we got NJIT. I don't even know what that means. But we beat them. So 11 point. Giles with 25. See, that was my guy last year. Giles was crazy scoring. Through the first 10 games, he's really done nothing. He is still a sophomore. So, maybe that's part of it. He's just inconsistent being a younger player, having a little bit of difficulty. With his consistency on the road. Although those home games we lost, he didn't show up either. But Giles finally shows up, and we get a big win. No surprise there. If he's playing well, this team's playing well. Just look through that. We're not getting any kind of emails about recruiting or anything, so I'm going to assume everything's pretty much holding steady there. Kind of surprised. Usually throughout the year, these guys will either commit elsewhere or commit to our school. And I know we were in some of their top 10, so I am fairly surprised that we still don't have our second commitment yet this year. Although maybe, the game gives and takes. It gave us our big-time commitment, and it's going to withhold anything else from us. We'll see how it goes. We ought to be moving into conference play here soon. It's only December 20th, but we've already played 10 road games. That's kind of surprising. If we could get back to 4-7 here in the pre-conference, we could be all right. Let's see what we can pull out. I'm also going to jump back in and let the computer resort the depth chart again. Whatever injuries we had should hopefully... Sanchez still got a day on that thigh. I'll come back and do that again tomorrow. So we got to play one more game while Sanchez has a thigh bruise. And then we'll be back to 100% from an injury standpoint. All right. So last game, while we're not at 100%, Texas Rio Grande on the road. And no, fall by 6. Giles at least coming around. Montgomery had a big 12-12 double-double. He filled up the stat sheet, but we could not pull it out on the road against Texas Rio Grande. Now that we're completely healthy, get that squared away one last time. So you can see it's not changing much. I mean, Sanchez is still playing 10 minutes. I think he was getting 4 minutes, maybe 6 previously. I don't remember exactly. All right, so through 11 games, we're 3-8. That's probably a game or two worse than I would have expected. Maybe I was optimistic for this year, given that we're breaking in a new point guard, but he has some experience, right? Yeah, we got a senior and a junior. Granted, the senior was a JUCO transfer, but you can see I would really, really like to bring in a point guard. We need to get that next generation. Like next year, that junior can move into the starting spot for next year, but after that, I would much rather have a sophomore taking over than a true freshman 2 years from now. So we'd like to bring in a point guard now. If not, we might look toward the JUCO route again. At that point, I'd probably take a JUCO and a high school senior. I don't like to be thin at point guard. Here we got another away game. God, they just keep coming with these away games. Yeah, at least we won a couple of them. but not really doing our part to protect our home court to make those wins mean much yet. Weber State Wildcats, hey, this one's for you, my new Wildcat dude over here. Let's see what I can do against these Wildcats, the Rattlers and the Wildcats. It's not the Wildcats I would usually expect to be beating on, but look at that. That's what's going to happen to your Wildcats, baby. 79-68. Boom. That's what I do to Wildcats. I'm the Wildcat killer. Ask anybody around. Jeff Wild with 15-9. Reggie Watkins had himself a game. Larry Stevenson, Wayne Kitchens, Ken K. Wallace for the Wildcats. Couldn't get it done. Florida A&M with a big road win. So that gets us to 4 on the year. Feeling pretty good. Let's check out these emails, see if we get anything real interesting going on over here. These are just our scouting reports. Norfolk State, NC Central. So yeah, that is moving into conference play. We still got, let's see, Weber State. We already played Texas Rio Grande, right? So it looks like we still got Wofford to go out of the Southern, and then we'll be moving into conference play. So 4-8 so far. If we could get to 5 in the not preseason, if we could get to 5 prior to entering into conference play, we could still do all right if we can compete in the conference. Like I said, the past couple of seasons we've really struggled once we got to conference play. I do like the roster that we have now more than the roster that we had, but conference play so far, surprisingly, has actually been a little bit more difficult than the pre-conference. So, out of conference rather. I don't know why I'm saying pre-conference. Like NFL preseason or something. We've racked up out of conference wins in prior seasons. All right, so here's Wofford coming into Florida A&M. Now, please, guys, you keep winning road games. Like, let's stop dropping games at home. Goodness, you're killing me. Let's see if we can manage here against the Wofford Terriers. They haven't won away yet. 20-point win. Jeff Wild, he's having himself a year. You know, he was one of the guys, he was a sophomore in my first year when I took this over. He was rated pretty highly, and to be honest, he just never really showed up. But this year, I got to hand it to him. He's really showed up so far. He's looking good. So I am pleased with that. I really wish that Giles was doing a little bit more. He looked great last year. He had a handful of games here this year where he was noticeable. He was in that top 3 as far as scoring goes. Just not a lot of consistency there, at least not big time 20-point game kind of consistency. Let's take a quick mid-season look at our stats here. All right, so you can see Jeff Wild is definitely holding it down. He's our leading scorer. He's pulling almost 6 rebounds a game, so he's looking great over there. We're really struggling with our point guard play, so the JUCO senior is not getting the bulk of the minutes. He's not being very productive at all. Watkins is the one getting most of it. He's hitting 5 assists a game, which isn't terrible. Could cut down on the turnovers, certainly, but he's not exactly a scorer. So Giles is getting 8.5, along with Fields pulling 8. Nothing there that's blowing anybody away for sure. And then Story, the junior, is scoring about 11 a game. Montgomery with 8. And Montgomery is really hitting the boards with 7 a game. Nobody doing a whole lot outside of that. So, Teron White, Hinton scoring 4 a game. Terrell Wright, Wright and Hinton aren't playing that much. 7 minutes between the two of them. Or 7 minutes apiece, I suppose that should be. Giles is getting huge minutes compared to Fields. Well, I guess 8 minutes extra a game. But 3-point shooting is much better than Fields' 3-point shooting. All right. So nothing shocking there, nothing really standing out too much. Let's move this along as we enter into conference play. There's Gonzaga number 2 going down on the road to Memphis. Another Jafar. There's something about this, guys. Oh, Joey Ravenel for Gonzaga, 27-10, but the Jafars, they're evil. Every Jafar I've ever known has been evil. Jafar Helliwell? Who do not care for Memphis State. I don't know if our Memphis guy's in chat. We got a Memphis guy from our multiplayer league. I don't know if he's around or not, but I don't care for Memphis any more than I care for Kentucky. We can throw Duke in there while we're talking about it. Those are the only 3, though, for the most part. A couple more scouting reports. Still no more commitments. Keeping my eye on that. We don't get another contact period until the postseason starts, and I think it's actually after conference tournaments. So it's like after the day after the selection show is the next time that we should have in-home visits available to us. I just bounced over and looked at the home page. And it's got a still frame of this stream with the Cornell Florida A&M result, losing by 2. Nobody wants to cut me any breaks today. That's all right. We're going to make it happen. We're 5-8, so we did pick up 5 wins in the out-of-conference schedule. So if we can win a game or 2 in the conference tournament, you know, we're clawing back towards that 15. I still don't think it's going to happen. We'd have to have a really good conference year, much better than we've had in the past. So let's go ahead and get this started. And I can't wait to have like consistent 500 or better seasons with this team. I'm really hoping that starts next year. But we do lose Wild, which is definitely going to hurt. 4-point loss. Story played well. Didn't get a whole lot of help from anywhere else. Got beat. Was that Boney Guthridge? I love these names, man. I love them. Got beat by Boney Guthridge. Man, that's not something that you expect. You know, Boney Guthridge, I don't even know what that sounds like. Doesn't necessarily immediately make me think of a basketball player. Boney sounds like it would be some kind of MMA nickname or something. But then I don't know, Guthridge is more like football or something, so can't place it. But he just beat me on the hardwood. So Florida A&M has now opened up their conference play with a loss on the road, which happens pretty much every year, I feel like. But again, it's the process, right? Well, that's what they called him up in Philadelphia, the process the whole time. They got all those draft picks, brought in all that talent, and then right when they were about to make it all happen, fired the guy that designed the whole thing. So right when they took off, he was out of there. So Norfolk State Spartans coming in at 2-12. So it'll be a good one to win. There we go. Defend that home court. And there's Giles again. You know, as soon as we start playing well, it's Giles scoring his 22 points. So that's, you know, good to see. Hopefully with Wild leaving next year, Giles can step up into that role as the primary go-to scorer as he moves on up into his junior year. Hopefully he gains a little bit more consistency on the road. I cannot remember if Story's back for another year. Story and Montgomery are our 2 inside guys. One of them's coming back another year. The other one is a senior this year. So one way or another, we'll have one of the 2 of them. But of course, you know, they may be playing, they may be sliding over and playing the power forward if our freshman is as good as I anticipate him being. And I certainly have very high expectations. I don't know, like the rating might not be great, and you know, I don't really care, but our coaches can't scout at all. They're terrible at it. So regardless, I've been going in here and letting the AI handle these depth charts and assuming that I'm still with Texas A&M next year, which looks fairly likely because we're not gaining prestige. We're not winning a whole lot in the postseason, so my coach isn't really getting his name out there just yet. I fully expect to be at Florida A&M again for a 4th season, and I think we're going to have the start of this program really making a big turn. But, we're already 6-9 this year. We're 500 in conference so far, 2 games in. Our first year we only won 9 games. Second year we only won 13. So there's definitely still room for improvement here this year. Let's not get ahead of ourselves at all. We got the Delaware State Hornets coming into our home arena. I need to figure out what our home arena is called. Well, let's go look at school info real quick. Team prestige is down to 4. It was 9 before, I think. The Alfred Lawson Jr. Multipurpose Center. Alfred Lawson Jr. Multipurpose Center. All right. So we got the Delaware State Hornets coming into the Alfred Lawson Jr. Multipurpose Center. And they come out with the win, which is Tom Prado went for 16 points, 15 rebounds. Definitely put a hurting on us, and we drop our first conference home game to the Hornets at the Alfred Lawson Jr. Multipurpose Center. So, not the start we're looking for in conference play here. Already falling behind. We've had 2 home games, only 1 game on the road, I believe, and we're already 1-2. But it's still early, still a lot of time to develop, get things back on track, and finish off this season strong. So we're still in about mid-January. It's Friday, January 13th. I'm really glad we're not playing a game today. It's got to be a prime day for some road wins, right? No, UConn handles Tulsa. Tulsa's 10-7. They've really dropped off from the first couple of years. You can see UConn with a big double-double there out of Brian Staley. All right, so we are about to go on the road to Howard. That's a team I believe we beat twice last year, so they may be looking for some revenge here in Burr Gymnasium. Was the name right there the whole time and I just didn't see it? The name of the arena? Probably. So Howard takes care of business at home. Giles played well there, at least scored a little bit. But we fall by 12 on the road at Howard. Howard, there's most of their points, 19, 15, 15, so that's 49 points. These 3 guys really gave us a hard time. It's just a grind. When you're at a low school like this, when you got 4 prestige, it's going to be hard to bring in recruits. It's really hard to win games, in conference, out of conference, road, home, doesn't matter. It's just tough at this level. But there definitely is a strategy to it. We're making progress. We just got to get a little bit more consistent results on the recruiting trail, and that's going to come as our coach gets better. I mean, our head coach's recruiting is like 38 right now. That's pretty putrid. Once that jumps up to 50, gets up towards 60, it'll be really just a totally different story. So only time will tell if we're at this school when that rating gets that high. But once it gets that high, we're really going to start bringing in those kind of mid-level recruits that I was going after here anyway. Because, low-level recruits are just a total roll of the dice. You have no idea what you're getting. There's not really a great way to say, like, this guy's going to be good, this guy's not. They're lottery tickets. So I certainly would like to be bringing in some more of those lottery tickets, seeing as how we have 6 scholarships and only one commitment so far. But our other 4 guys, they haven't committed here yet, but they haven't committed elsewhere yet. So we'll see how that goes moving forward. The only thing I honestly haven't decided on is whether or not I actually intend to make the in-home visits, because to be quite honest, it seemed like it hurt more than it helped in the early season in-home visit period. But anyway, those low-ranked guys are just total lottery tickets. So, if you're at one of the very elite schools, you can go after those top prospects. Otherwise, the middle is what I'm aiming for right now while we build programs. And that's where you got to be really accurate and, key on the right guys. So since we're having trouble even bringing in the lowest tiered recruits, it's really just about getting lucky early. But we grind it out long enough, our coach skill is going to go up and we're going to dominate. So it's only a matter of time. We're just seeing how we get there. It's all about the journey, not the destination. Sammy Floyd for Tulane going 19-10. So we get to see a lot of the green wave there. All right, so we're headed off to play Morgan State, another conference game. We're both 1-3 in conference. 6-11 overall. We're still looking. I would love to get 9 more wins, but at this point, that's pretty crazy to think it could even be possible. A win here would be a step in the right direction. But it doesn't happen. We fall by 11. Jeff Wild scored 2 points. That's embarrassing. So he's really reverted to what I saw out of him the last 2 years. Giles came on a little bit there. Michael Edward played a decent game, but we couldn't get it done at Morgan State. Now we're 6-12. Probably looking at like 12 more games, give or take. So, at this point, just hitting that 10-win mark again, maybe we can get back to 13. We'll have to see how our conference tournament goes. But unfortunately, it's not going to be a big improvement on last year. Losing one of our 2 most talented guards, it has really shown up here. So you say you got 5 commitments and only 4 scholarships to offer. How does that happen? I don't even think you could get a commitment if you haven't offered somebody. If you want to check out 2020, definitely keep following the streams. I'm going to be streaming this probably every day this week. But I think over on the Wolverine Studios website, you should be able to try out a free trial of 2020. It's mostly the same game underneath once you figure out where everything is. But 2020 is definitely a very different interface, especially the in-game coaching. I don't know if you like to simulate the games like I'm doing or if you jump in and play them out as the coach. But that's, again, similar in function. Looks very different. Looks a lot cleaner in my opinion. All of the buttons for the in-game coaching are right there instead of like on 2017, I think they're still hidden behind a menu. So we got Coppin State on the road. Being in this conference, there's going to be road wins along the way. They're definitely tough because we do not have a quality team, but the good news is nobody else does either. So there's not a whole lot of quality out there. We can pull off something every now and then, and I would love to do it right here against the Eagles. And no, we lost by 12. Wild played better, Story played better, Giles got 6. Nobody hit double digits for us. It's just a really, really poor showing. Very disappointing. So we're at 6-13. We're 1-5 in conference play to start out. Just brutal for Florida A&M. It's not hard to see why they're only at 4 prestige. It's not hard to see why recruits are not seeing my vision. I talked about the beaches and the warm weather and all that, and the recruits are just like, yeah, Central Florida's got that too, and Southern Florida, and 1,000 other schools in Florida. So I'm refining my pitch as a head coach. I'll get better every year. That I can guarantee. We can always do better than the year we forgot to send out our offer. Guy Samnick, Victor Town. Kelly Steele, that's a cool name. All right, Bethune-Cookman coming in. They have definitely been a thorn in our sides this entire save. I don't know if I've beat them yet, but they're coming into our house. The somebody junior, the Alfred Lawson Jr. Multipurpose Center. It is right there. I missed it the whole time. Pretty typical. I tend to overlook things that are simple and easy like that. But let's see if we can finally dispatch Bethune-Cookman. We did by 19. Jeff Wild has a huge game. Reggie Watkins has a huge game. They had David Smith scored 19 for them, but they couldn't contain Wild and Watkins. We need one more W there for like we can come up with some kind of clever nickname. www.floridaam. So finally beat Bethune-Cookman. That gets us our 7th win on the year. Unfortunately, we're about 2/3 through the year and not quite halfway to the wins that I was expecting for this year. You know, we have, again, not half of the wins that I was expecting to get, not half of the commitments that I would like to have at this point, but it is only January 30th. We've still got all of February and March to make things happen on and off the court. So let's get it done. Let's get it into February. Guy Samnick once again for South Florida. Michael Neighbors. Sounds very neighborly. I don't know. I got nothing to say about South Florida and Tulsa. All right. Let's get those fingers crossed. Let's get the well wishes flowing. We got to win some games here in the month of February. Start getting some momentum going into March and the postseason. We definitely need to win some games in the postseason this year. That's where all the reputation happens. That's where the prestige happens. So I'd love to win 2 games this year in the postseason. We definitely have to get to 10 in the regular season, though. So let's focus on that first. We're going against North Carolina A&T, who are 10-10, but they are 6-1 in conference. And they're now 6-2 as we get the 14-point win at home. Eric Giles with 24 points. Couldn't be contained in the Alfred Lawson Jr. Multipurpose Center. He went off as he's wont to do in our victories. Out of these 8 victories, I guarantee he's been the high scorer in half of them, if not more. So Giles has really been... out of everyone we've brought in so far, he's contributed more than anyone else. Yet to be seen if he ends up with the best career of the guys we've brought in so far. Got our top 30 Norton candidates here. Baylor, San Diego State with a shooting guard. Marque Wembley, 2nd in the Norton Award candidates race here. St. Mary's with a fairly high one as well. So that's interesting. Definitely no Rattlers on the list, though. So, forging ahead. 8-13, 3-5 in conference. So we're once again starting to flirt with respectability. I do know at one point last season we were 9-13, and then we ended up winning, I think, 2 more games in that regular season and 3 games in the regular season, 1 in the postseason to get to 13. So if we could get this big win here, we could almost be back on pace. But we're headed on the road, and that is always a risky proposition, especially in conference play. But this will get us back to 4-5 in conference against the South Carolina State Bulldogs. Come on. Where's my boy Giles? Where's my boy Wild? Get it going. Yes! Marcus Story 13-4, Reggie Watkins with 19, Jeff Wild 10-7, and we win by 10 on the road against South Carolina State. Back to 9-13, right where we were last year. Back to 4-5 in the conference. Nice win on the road. I don't care who we're playing. If it's a road win, it's a good one. And I thought that we might be in for it this year, but we have fought and clawed our way back to basically exactly where we were last year. Which I guess is, on one hand good because we didn't lose a whole lot from last year's team. So not a massive improvement, but we haven't gotten worse. So as long as we're not getting worse, I'm happy about that for certain. So 9-13, I would imagine we've got about 8 regular season games left. We'll see if we can get that 10th win in the regular season. When we get that, we'll jump over and check out the dashboard and see exactly how far. We'll see exactly how far we've got left to go. But let's hit that 10th win first. I don't want to. I'm just like closing my eyes and rushing for the 10 wins. And if you've been with me in any of the other streams, it's been a wait. The first season, we actually started off 9-11 and then lost 10 straight. Second season, like I said, we got to 9-13 and then dropped 5 straight before we finally won that 10th game. So now we're 9-13, 4-5 in conference, hoping to get that 10th win at Maryland Eastern Shore. So that would be 2 big conference road games in a row if we can pull it off, and that would get us back to 5-5 in conference. So we have got a big one coming up right here, and I'm putting it all on Wild and Giles. Those are my guys. If we're winning games, and now Edwards, Watkins, they've jumped up their Story. They've all jumped up there and had big games. If we're going to finish this season the way I really hope and reach some of those goals, Wild and Giles are going to be our guys. And we couldn't get it done. Story had a good game. Giles was all right, but we lose by 8 at Maryland Eastern Shore, dropping us to 4-6 in conference, 9-13. No, not 9. Is it 9-14 on the year? 9-14 on the year. So, got all excited for a second. Thought we might be, blazing the trail ahead, and couldn't get it done. It's nice to have moments, though. We're getting moments. We're getting close. Yeah, this is the 3rd season. Yeah, 4-6 in conference so far. We're okay. It's just not a step forward that I was hoping for, but it's also not a step backwards. So we're doing all right for our 3rd season at a really small school with a really new coach. And No Name, you're absolutely right. There is time to make that push. So that is what we're going to be looking to do. I would love to finish off this 3rd season and just be close to 500 in conference. So let's see what we can do here. We've got Howard at home. Now, Howard looks to be having a better year this year. Last year we swept them. This year we've already lost on the road at Howard. Now they're 11-12. Looks like they may actually be above 500 in conference, although it doesn't say here. It'll say when we get back out to this screen. 6-4 in conference for Howard this year. So, tough game for us at home. But I spoke too early. 40-point manhandling of Howard gets us our 10th win. If you're going to win 10, that's the way to make a statement. Wild with 18, Giles with 16. I told you if we were doing anything, it was going to be on their backs. Lewis Hinton jumps in with 12 points, and we are at 10 wins, 24 games into the year. A couple more in the regular season, a couple more in the postseason, and we could finish off with yet another year where we move in the right direction overall. So I told you once we hit 10, I'd be jumping out, taking a look at the rest of the season. Yeah, Howard did show up. Unfortunately, their bus didn't show up until halftime, and the referees let us play the first half with no defense. So that's how we won by 40, I would imagine. It's hard to see how else we would do it. All right, so we are definitely down to the end of the season here. We've got 2 road games, Delaware State, Norfolk State, both on the road. We'll finish off with 3 home games. So if we just hold serve, we get to 13 in the regular season, and we've got a legit chance at 15 wins. But in all likelihood, we'll probably drop at least one of those. So let's not get too excited and run away with anything before we actually get out on the court and prove it. We're at 10-14. At one point, we were at like 2-7, maybe 2-8. This season really looked like it was going to get away from us. We've really played pretty much 500 basketball since that point, and it was really Eric Giles stepping up, finally scoring some points that got us there, and getting into conference play helped. Although we had some pretty poor teams in the out-of-conference schedule. Okay. Get the bottom line of ESPN ready, because Marcus Johnson has made a decision. February 11th, he sends us an email, and he's coming. So, that's good. That's good. I'd love for this to be a point guard. I don't remember the names or the positions at this point. Of course, it's another center. So, yeah, we did need another center. You can see this guy, he's low ranked. He's only got the 1 star. I'm telling you, this is going to be our man. He just will be. Attitude and discipline problems. Maybe not. Facility's got he's a hard-working kid, though. Rarely missed a day of practice. So he might have an attitude, but he's a baller. He'll get better. I'm not worried about that in the least. I'm very excited to have him still. But I do really want to get a point guard. All right, 5 games to go. Let's see if we can take one more step in the right direction with this program. I would love to get back to 13 in the regular season and then have the postseason to try to add some wins onto our total. All right, we got a team incident email that needs handling. So those are always exciting, and they're always negative. Montgomery and Edward just got done duking it out. So they were in a fight? Are you kidding me? Montgomery and Edward. I know Montgomery's a starter. I'm pretty sure Edward plays. That's not cool. So his team relationship took a pretty big drop. Edward. His took a drop. And he's a good guy. Why are they getting in fights? Alright, well. Yeah, it is a problem. Alright, so thankfully he agreed to change. Let's see if Edward will do the same. Ideally. There's definitely something to worry about that. Alright, and we had to suspend Edward. Which at least it wasn't a starter, but not ideal. Not ideal, obviously. So can't wait to get him back. He should only be out for these road games. We'll see what happens. Hey, No Name got his first top 100 recruit. Nice. At DePaul. Yeah, that more options talking about attitude is one thing that pretty universally the player base has agreed would be nice. Although it's been that way for several years now, and I haven't seen anything come in yet. So hopefully at some point soon there will be some more ways to address attitude in a positive way, because most of the ways to talk about attitude are just bad things. So let's see. Delaware State came in and won at our place. We're headed over to Memorial Hall for this battle. And let's see what happens. So we fall by 9. Giles had another good game. Couldn't get it done on the road. So No Name pulled his first top 100 recruit at DePaul. That's pretty good. DePaul is one of those schools that I've thought a lot of times about jumping in and starting a save. There's at least in real life, there's a ton of talent there in Chicago. You would think that if they could just put a fence up around the city and keep that talent home, that they would be in a better situation. I don't know how closely in-game recruiting follows that, but if Illinois got the kind of talent in-game that they do in real life, DePaul should be a great school to turn around and really get moving. The trouble that you're going to have there, I believe they're in Conference USA, and believe it or not, Conference USA is fairly stacked. Like, a lot of teams you just don't think about are there in that conference, and they're fairly prestigious. Who did I play with in that conference? I don't remember off the top of my head. I had a team in that conference at some point. It could have been... I don't know. I had a really tough time winning games in that conference, just because there's some quality schools in there. So, best of luck to you in that save there. The Big East. All right, that makes more sense if they're in the Big East. I know it's the conference that had them in it. So Big East, that would have... Georgetown's in there, right? It was Georgetown, Villanova, just a handful of high prestige schools. That's why I actually didn't choose them, as there were so many other high prestige schools that I'd seen. Butler Nova, number 4 Providence. Wow, Providence is doing it in your save, huh? Florida A&M headed into Norfolk State. Norfolk State? Yep. So our second of our last 2 road games. First one did not turn out well, and the second one turns out 11-point win. Look at Giles. My man almost sprung for 30 points. Boy, he's a sophomore, dropping 26 at Norfolk State. Story and Wild pitching in. So we're at 11 now, and we got 3 home games to close it out. This is great. Last season, we finished off with 12 regular season wins. Now we got 3 chances at home to try to equal that and see if we can't make an improvement. DePaul never finishing higher than 7th in conference sounds about right, the way I recall that conference. It was just brutal, man. So best of luck to you there. Get those in-state guys. DePaul's really low, too. What's DePaul's prestige in your save? I think they start off in, like, the 40s. And compared to other schools in their conference, that's just brutal. All right, so we're down to the last 3 games of our regular season. We're 11-15 overall, 6-7 in conference. So really, really close to 500, which is awesome. Just about everything I could have hoped for out of this season. It started off looking really bad, but conference play has been great to us so far. Now let's see if we can close it out with at least go 2-1 on this 3-game homestand. Yeah, so 36-37 prestige for DePaul. That sounds about right. Now, inheriting an old roster, that's a killer, because you lose all of your experience, and then you've got all these expectations and no upperclassmen to help you out. So that's tough. Hopefully your coach is decent at recruiting, and you can bring in some difference makers really early. First game of the homestand, we're 6-7 in conference. Yes, 3-point win. We're 7-7 in conference, guys. Giles with 19. Wow. We are 7-7 in conference, guys. Florida A&M, 12-15, 7-7 in conference, and we've got 2 home games left to close out this season. Wow. We are in good position right now. Really, really good position. Feeling good about our Rattlers right now. Absolutely, Giles is MVP as far as I'm concerned. Every time we win a big game, that guy is going off. Can't wait for his junior and senior years. Hopefully we can get some more talent in around him. We got a couple of centers coming in for next year. We really need to bring in some guards and wing players. Another team incident that needs our handling. What happened now? Same 2 guys. That's ridiculous. Maybe you guys shouldn't hang out anymore. You ever think about that? Alright, so he backed off again. And he backed off really quick that time, so not what I want to see, but really trying to get some really trying to make some strides with this program, not spend all daggone day suspending guys and being short-handed coming into the end of the year. We're in late February and these guys are arguing about video games. If this was still November, I would have just suspended both of them and been done with it, but 2 games left. No Name wants to know what the conference looks like. Let's jump over and take a look real quick. 7-7. Sometimes when you get into these kind of lower tier conferences, 7-7 can be higher than you think, because sometimes you'll have like one team winning 15, 16 games, and everybody else is kind of middle of the pack or terrible. Check out the standings here real quick. Sometimes it helps if you let it load up first. So there you go. This is, we're only a game out of third place as of right now. We got 2 home games down the stretch. Delaware State has definitely separated from the rest of the conference. North Carolina A&T is up at the top. And so we're 1 game out of third. At the same time, we're, 2 games out of last. So it's a fairly tight grouping this year. Sometimes it can be really weird and spread out, but not this year. These last 2 games are going to be huge for our standing in conference for the end of the year. So let's see what it looks like. 2 games to go in the regular season, guys. Then we're going to get some conference tournament play. I'm excited to finish it out. Since we didn't have to suspend either of those guys, I do need to jump back over into the depth chart and reorganize that now that Edward is off of his suspension. So I cannot forget to do that. Yeah, I've still got my fingers crossed, man. I've had my fingers crossed for a while. I don't want to upset anything that these guys are doing. Don't need any bad, no bad juju over here. Let's keep good, positive thoughts only. Everybody smile. Let's make it happen. Come on, Rattlers. You've got it. John Friend. I wonder if he knows the neighbor guy from earlier. Having some friendly neighbors. It is from Tulsa. Was Neighbors from Tulsa? I don't remember. I feel like he was, because I feel like he might have been up there with Greg Owens last time. If you got a guy named Friend and Neighbor both on your roster, it's not quite Cougar and Wolf like we were talking about the other day, but all right, everybody's got their own thing. Maybe that's your theme. It was like the Mr. Rogers All-Stars. Nothing wrong with Mr. Rogers. Oh, if they got a guy named Rogers on that team, that would be awesome. Have to keep an eye on that. Eight and 19. We lost at Morgan State. Maybe we can have some better luck at home. Let's go, boys. The brutal home loss. 8 points. Giles tried. Didn't look like he had much help. So we take a dive at home. Drops us back below 500, which is obviously not ideal. But we've still got one more home game to get us back to 13. And then it's just all about, yeah, absolutely, man. Friendly Neighbor, Rogers, Trolley, Sweater. Yeah, that looks like the starting 5 there. So that was a brutal loss. We still got one more to get back to 13, which would get us even with last year. And then a little bit of noise in the conference tournament would be an improvement. But first things first, let's finish strong at home. Homecoming. We got all the alums in the stands, doing their Rattler cheers. I think they do like the wavy snake thing or something. gotta have a Rattler cheer. So Coppin State, one of the better teams in the conference, coming into our arena. So this is a big one. It would definitely, I would love to win here. Come on, Giles. Come on, Wild. Good thoughts. Fingers crossed. Make it happen. Florida A&M for the win. Yeah! Yeah! 13 points. Giles with 21. Hinton with 15. Reggie Watkins throws in 17. And we hit 13 wins for the second year in a row. Guys, we're at 500 in the conference. Man, we're looking good. A single win in the conference tournament guarantees us a 500 record in conference on the year. And you never know what's going to happen in conference. Could this be the year that we go dancing? You never know. It would be nice. Nice little tip of the cap there to Wild, who was a great player as a sophomore. Held us together here in the early season when Giles was still getting his act together. What a way to send him off. If we 8-8, print the t-shirts. You're absolutely right, man. I'm ready to print t-shirts and throw a party. But first of all, back to business. Let's focus here. That is one thing I know about Football Manager. You can yell out like the different shouts or whatever. This is the concentrate. Concentrate, guys. You have to win a game in this tournament if you want improvement. Otherwise, we're just treading water. So let's see if we can improve, take one more step forward, get to the 14-win mark, which again would guarantee us at least a 500 record overall in conference. We got to do it against Norfolk State, 10-19 on the year. The Rattlers are 13-16. This says it's in our arena, but it should be a neutral court game, I would think. I don't know how they do their conference tournament, but let's see. Big time. This is when you dig deep. You got to dig deep. God! Lost our first game of the conference tournament by 8. Giles put up 20, but nobody else could get us there, and we end the season at 13-17. The same win total as we had last year. We had a much better conference season, much better there, much worse in the out-of-conference season. So, at a smaller school, your season ends just like that. These bigger schools, these bigger schools can lose in the conference and still go on and have a march. At this school, not only are you not going to the NCAA tournament, you're not going to the NIT. I doubt that we're going to the CBI or CTI or any of that stuff. I mean, maybe it could happen, but I'm kind of doubting it. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We didn't have any big wins or anything. I would imagine our RPI is awful. So I have absolutely no optimism that we're doing anything as far as playing games goes. What we do have here is another decision out of a recruit, and he's coming to Florida A&M. So, see here, nobody's going to the draft, shockingly. What did the scouting report look like for Norfolk State? I always do this to myself. Okay, so we were slight favorites, but nothing crazy. So, I guess that's just a coin flip, basically. You kind of look on the season here. We scored more points a game, a little bit better from 3. Not much from free throws. Passed the ball better, rebounded better. It's kind of disappointing stat-wise. All right. Well, that's all the games that we're going to play today. But, I do like to take us through to the end of the season, because the end of the season is where all the exciting stuff happens. You get your feedback. We get a couple of contact periods here. And we can see if there are any kind of job offers or anything. So we've still got some big moments here in this stream. I don't want to say that was a disappointing season, but it also wasn't a step forward. It was just kind of treading water. Again, we didn't get any worse. We didn't get any better. I would like to see some significant strides going into year 4. So tomorrow should be Selection Sunday, right? Tulsa's always... Why is Tulsa always doing big things? Look back to 22-12. In fact, I've seen Tulsa and South Florida on here more than anybody. What is the deal with those two? Yeah, I'm really looking for a Power 5 to jump to. I'm really looking for the right offer, to be quite honest. If it was the right mid-major and it was something that I could get excited with, yeah, maybe I would do that. But the idea behind the whole stream was to kind of hang out here until we got to the point where I could get a job in a Power 5. And just something I was interested in. I've done Georgia before. That would be cool. I talked about Nebraska. That would be interesting. Colorado would be interesting. There's a handful of them that I kind of think about that would be interesting. But you never know what kind of offer you're going to get, especially with this school's prestigious 4. They're not beating anybody big, so I'm not getting a whole lot of reputation as a head coach. So, if I'm stuck here for 6, 7, 8 years, maybe I will want to jump to a mid-major as a stepping stone. Let's check out our brackets here on Selection Sunday. Take a look at the top 4 seeds in each of the regions. So we can see our play-in games here. Now look, you got schools 15-17, 16-17 in play. Well, I guess these are probably conference tournament winners. Still, we're not that far out. Still playing games. All right, so Marquette pulls a 1 seed. Texas with the 2. Michigan and Kansas State. Yet another Wildcats. The Zags, the 1 seed in Milwaukee, along with the Badgers, Maryland Terrapins, and BYU. University of Kentucky, Oregon, North Carolina, and the Cardinals in the Houston region. Ohio State Buckeyes, VCU, Ole Miss, and San Diego State and Anaheim. So that's a really interesting region. Ohio State's as close as it comes to a blue blood here in these top 4. You do have Kansas with a 5, but that's a very interesting region. So, there is your NCAA. Let us see here in our inbox. All right. Key dates. So March 19th is actually when the next contact period starts. So that'll be next week. So we can go ahead and simulate through this first week of the tournament. And obviously we didn't get a scouting report there. Yeah, man, I would jump to Syracuse. I don't think they're going to offer me. Really looking at those Power 5 schools that are down in that 30 to 40 kind of prestige range. Just because that's who I think will get an offer. You never know. Like, somebody goes on... If somebody goes on probation, then we could get an offer from an interesting school that we really weren't expecting. So... Again, you just never know. That's the interesting thing about these saves. We can't go into it and say this is exactly what's going to happen. I am not in March Madness. I did not make any tournament. All I'm doing is simulating through this week so that I can get to my next contact period. I'm going to hit up some of my recruiting, and then we'll be into the Sweet 16, so I'll jump over and show you guys the brackets of the teams that did make it. However, our Florida A&M Rattlers are very much not in any kind of postseason play. We went 13-16 in the regular season, 8-8 in conference play, got to our conference tournament, and lost our very first game to Norfolk State. So that was the end of our postseason. We've gone. It was our third year now, and we're sitting at 1-3 in conference tournament play, which is definitely disappointing, but at the same time, not at all unexpected. Okay, so here comes yet another decision. Everything has been solid so far. Let's see how this one goes. Marlon Payton will be coming to our school. So let's take a look now at that recruiting class. We've got 2 centers. We've got a small forward. He's ranked at 2 stars and ranked a little bit higher. I'm still 100% on the Craig Montgomery boat. That's going to be our man out of this class. Ryan Johnson is a shooting guard. We still have not landed our point guard, which is the one player that I wanted, well, outside of Montgomery. Point guard is what I really wanted to bring in. Frederick Dixon is the one that we have offered. And if we take a look here, we are 5th in the running for him. So we are going to go out and pitch location. Now, if I drop from 5th to something lower, I'm going to be convinced that my coach is actively harming this process. But we are going to visit him. We are going to visit the other 3 point guards that also have some interest. And again, none of these guys are stars. I was saying earlier in the stream, when you're getting down into the bottom of the barrel on these prospects, you are really looking for lottery tickets. Now, having the one extra scholarship and really wanting a point guard, I am going to go ahead and offer another one here. If I get one of them, I may rescind it. We're his first choice. Just looking at these guys, points per game, not that different. Griffin looks like the best passer out of the bunch. Stokes is a better rebounder, while Henderson is awful at that. None of them can block shots. Nobody very good at steals. Take a look at the ratings. And again, this is our scouts' rating of these guys, and our scouts are bad. So these ratings are just indicative of where they may be. I don't take them for too much. I definitely take them into account, but not too much. It helps if the ratings sort of back up what you're seeing statistically, but like even over here, the best passer looks like Stokes, whereas stat-wise, it looks like it would probably be Griffin. Henderson was showing up as the best defender, yet he's got the least steals per game. I'm just going to stick with Griffin. Probably splitting hairs. None of them are very good. So it's just the one contact period there. We are visiting all 4 of the point guards. So let's jump over into our NCAA tournament and get ready for the Sweet 16 here. Let's see what we got. The Boston region. We got Cincinnati upset Marquette. So a lot of times it just goes chalk in here, but Cincinnati with a big upset there. Then we got Texas, Michigan, and Kansas State, so the rest of it holds steady. 1-7-3-4 here with Creighton upsetting Wisconsin. Houston, they've not played yet? Oh, it's Sunday. Let me simulate this day out so we can see the entirety of this. Where's Syracuse in the big dance? I thought that might have been what you were asking. Let's see if they made it. They were not in that bracket. Nope. Syracuse in this NCAA tournament was right there next to Florida A&M in the not invited region. So I don't know if they're in NIT or what. Yeah, they didn't make it. But we can see... Oh, let's hit the same button again. Let's see who else is rounding out that Sweet 16. It's like Missouri State. Was that? That couldn't have been. Missouri State. What region is this? Anaheim? Yeah, this was the region that looked crazy. So Missouri State, a 12 seed, knocks off San Diego State to reach the Sweet 16. The rest of it held steady, but still, you got Virginia. Well, Virginia Commonwealth isn't a shock. Mississippi kind of is surprising. We'll say surprising. And then Houston goes 1-7-3-4 with Look at that. We had a 15 over a 2. Prairie View A&M upset the Oregon Ducks 75-74 in the first round. What an upset, guys. It's only happened a handful of times. And, wow. Then they got smoked by Vandy. All right, so we got our Sweet 16 set up. Very interesting. Missouri State, I think, is definitely the Cinderella of this tournament. So, let's see if they can move on and crash the Elite Eight. Wednesday. We got a couple more days to go before we get to more games. It's Thursday, so there should definitely be some games today. Like Cincinnati, looked like the Zags. Creighton beat Maryland. We'll have to jump in here and see the seedings. Let's see, what's that? All right, so Boston is set. We've got the 9-seed Cincinnati Bearcats facing the number 3 Michigan Wolverines. Gonzaga and Creighton knocked off Maryland. So, half our Elite Eight is set. Let's get the other half of it. Did UK beat Louisville by 1? This game doesn't like me. Look at this nonsense. I protest that game. So Kentucky knocks off Louisville. Vandy falls to North Carolina. Ohio State and VCU. So Missouri State made a great run. They're not making it into the Elite Eight. So it looks like Cincinnati fell. Gonzaga won. I only said Cincinnati fell because I didn't catch who the other team was. We'll go check it out real quick. Yeah, Kentucky snuck past my Cardinals. Let's see here. So Cincinnati lost to Michigan by 14. Gonzaga beat Creighton by 24. Gonzaga is just always beastly. So, rest of the Elite Eight, Kentucky lost, I'm pretty sure, and Ohio State beat VCU. I think North Carolina drubbed them. 80-56. Take that, Wildcats. And the Ohio State Buckeyes round out the Final Four. So we got 2 1s and 2 3s in the Final Four. That's better than usual. A lot of times I've seen just nothing but 1 seed. So excited to see a 15 seed win. A 12 seed made the Sweet 16. And now we're going to have 2 1s and 2 3s. So here is our last decision. I always just see how the visits go first. Stokes didn't like it. Everyone else was good. And Dixon's coming. So that's cool. So that gets us, we've got, he'll be gone. Hill's a walk-on. So we'll have a senior and 1 freshman at point guard. I'll let the other offers stand, and if the other guy comes, we'll redshirt one of them. And again, that's just 100% so that I've got some depth at that position. Might as well bring them in while we can get them. We're not bringing in studs or anything. The scholarships, scholarships are definitely a commodity, but right now it's about having bodies and experience, because we're not going after the elite players. We're trying to bring guys in, coach them up for 4 years, make sure they know the offense, run the offense well, all that good stuff. Oh, no named in the chat said he went 18-14, 7-11 in the Big East. That's a rough conference year, and he's headed to the CBI. So no dancing for the DePaul Blue Demons and no named save. All right, Thursday, we got 2 more days until the Final Four. Let's see how it shakes out. Then we'll be able to move right on to the end of the season and see if we got any kind of coaching offers worth considering, or if we are moving forward with this big recruiting class we're bringing in. 56th in the RPI. That's... I'm not surprised you didn't make the NCAA, but I am kind of surprised you didn't make the NIT with the RPI of 56. I guess 7-11 in the conference probably hurts you. All right. So here it goes. Your final four. The Zags, the Wolverines, the Tar Heels, and the Buckeyes. It looked like Michigan lost and North Carolina won. So I believe you're going to be looking at North Carolina and Gonzaga here. I believe this is the second year in a row Gonzaga's made the final. Anybody that was here in the last one, if you remember, go ahead and throw it out. Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't make the NIT. That is interesting. Got another email. This might be another commitment. Is this the other point guard? Another point guard. There we go. So, we did manage to fill all 6 of our scholarships. Only one early. That was the big one that I'm most excited about. Here goes your national championship. Gonzaga versus North Carolina. And North Carolina Tar Heels pull it out. Won by 10. Gonzaga, the runner-up again. Tough break for the Zags. So now we can move on to the awards. Let's take a quick look at this, and then we're going to be on to the job offers, which could be exciting. So let's first of all look at the entire association. See Lars Clark here, Norton Award. Most Outstanding Player of the Final Four and Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year goes to our fellow down here at South Carolina. Brad Carson out of Michigan State is the Freshman of the Year, and Tom Izzo, Coach of the Year. 34-1. They must have been on probation, because I don't think they were in the tournament. 34-1, they'd have been a 1 seed. So Michigan State had to have been on probation there. First team All-Americans, Mr. Clark, Mr. Hunter out of Marquette, Dayton, Michigan State, and Baylor. Second team, Wisconsin, Notre Dame, Marquette. Another Giles. Hopefully that's a sign of the future things to come for our Mr. Giles. Oklahoma State and San Diego State round out the rest of that. So let's take a look in our conference, see what we had. Player of the Year, Gerald Fox out of Howard. Brian Ballard from Coppin State, Defensive Player of the Year. David Smith is the Freshman of the Year, and Eric Skeeters won Coach of the Year. First team All-Conference goes to Maryland Eastern Shore, Coppin State, Delaware State, Howard, and Bethune-Cookman. Second team, Andy Perez, Brett Wilson, Dwayne Virgil, Keith Hancock, and Ronald Caldbeck. Third year in a row, Florida A&M has been shut out of the conference awards. Again, not shocking. Wild had a handful of games where he did well. Giles, if he plays the entire season the way he played the second half of this season, he will be on that list before he graduates. But you can't play half a season and be an all-conference player. It doesn't work that way. So let's move forward, see what we get out of the rest of our third season here at Florida A&M. Jump over here and check out our inbox. We've got one of our assistant coaches is retiring. Season review, we didn't want to finish last. We succeeded. They're going to be expecting more now. Let's jump in here and see if there are any jobs worth our consideration. If we've got half-star schools still wanting us to be a first assistant, I got to think we're getting nothing in this head coaching search. So we could go to NJIT, which is on probation. We actually beat them this year. We could go to Montana State in the Big Sky. Those are the only 2 schools that are offering us head coaching jobs. I have no interest in either of those. So good news for the Florida A&M Rattlers. Coach Scott will be back for a 4th year. Let us jump over here and check out how our coaches advance. So now, wow, look at that. They want us to finish top 3 in the conference as the goal. Hopefully we've got a roster that can actually make that happen. Take a look here at our coach. We continue to improve. 36-39. Recruiting is up to 43, so that's another big jump. When you figure we started off at 30 and we're already up to 43 after 3 seasons, that is definitely moving in the right direction. that's getting close. Another season with another jump like that, it's going to start making a big difference. We're going to start outpacing the other coaches in this league. Scouting, 37. Player development, 39. So all of that is headed in the right direction. I'm very, very pleased to see that. Let's see which of our staff members have left us. So we still have Nibbert as, let's see, how much longer? 3 years left on Nibbert's contract. 2 years left for Norwood, who is our scout. Oh, the player development guy. We had a player development guy that was like 3 stars, and he was super cheap. So we'll have to see if we can replace him in our hiring period. So we're advancing past this. This is whether we're going to move schools. So let's get over to our hiring period real quick so we can bring in that third assistant. See if we can find someone else to take over our practice and development of players. That's definitely key, bringing in 6 freshmen. The good news is our coach is starting to be not miserable at everything. What was all? Oh, those are all the LOIs. The game was beeping at me nonstop there. Those were our LOIs coming in. So you can see there at the end of you get that end of season reassessment on your players. It's got Giles and Watkins both up at 2.5. So that's going to be a really strong backcourt moving into next year. Assuming none of these guys leave. Winston's a senior, not worried about that. Why is Giles upset? What is it? Oh, he's a disruptive force. Now see this when we're talking about when you're talking about how you wish there was ways to talk to players and really affect attitude and that sort of thing. This is what I mean. He doesn't care about playing time. We gave him all the minutes in the world, and his relationship with me is still just absolutely terrible. He's a disruptive force. Doesn't get along with anybody on the team. I would bet money that this guy is going to transfer out, which is just going to be painful. We're losing Aiken Fields. If Giles transfers out, then our only scholarship shooting guard is going to be the recruit we just brought in as a freshman. Oh, man. Not what I want to see. Let's take a look here at Hinton, who's also got the big old frowny face going on. He's good with the team. He just doesn't like me. And I don't know why, because he's not concerned with playing time. He's got decent personality. Couldn't tell you. I don't think he'll transfer out, but I've been surprised before. Wow. That's really bad news there about Giles. He was definitely, like you said, MVP, but so you got Oregon State, Rutgers, and Washington State. Well, Rutgers isn't doing anything in the Big Ten. Washington State and Oregon State, they're Power 5 kind of in name only because they're both at the bottom of the pack. But DePaul is also toward the bottom of the Big East, so I do think it would be easier for you to compete in the pack sooner. But if you got a good recruiting class at DePaul, man, don't mess up a good thing. If you got a good thing going and you got good recruits coming in, I would probably stay with it. Yeah, Chris, we're going to keep on slithering. It's our new Florida A&M chant. We need to hire a third assistant coach to come in, run these practices, develop these players. Yeah, Blazer, these small schools, you're going to run into the same problems everywhere, man. And, it's just painful because you've got a guy who is a freshman and then again as a sophomore is putting up great numbers and probably not going to be able to hold on to him, which was really disappointing. So a lot of these guys who would be willing to take third assistant jobs, they already have head coaching jobs, so they're not going to be coming in. So we were really got to jump all the way down into this range, which is mostly useless. Here's another one that would be all right, but he's already a head coach elsewhere. So it's really, do we want to give up a couple of points of development for a couple of points of defensive knowledge or offensive knowledge? Or we just take the 32 in development, hope for the best. We're just going to offer this guy. He's a third assistant, so we're going to offer him The bottom of his range is 15. We'll offer him 18. No, let's just offer him. Yeah, let's offer him 18 for 2 years. I'm not particularly excited about this guy. I would love to have somebody better. Let's see if we can pull him in. It's Coach Aaron Rishaw. Really disappointed. You know, we had a real bargain in that coach that retired. So that's the frustrating part. So he did agree to come in. Cool. We got our coaching staff rounded out. Go ahead and finish in advance there. Yeah, man, I think that would be cool if we can get all of something junior municipal center, whatever the arena is. If we can get the whole crowd, all 13 of them or whatever it is, just like while they're shooting free throws or something. I think it's intimidating. We're building a culture here at Florida A&M. Hotheads like Giles are probably just going to have to transfer out. I don't care if you score 25. We're a team down here at Florida A&M. We're going to be building ourselves around this freshman center, I think. So, yeah, that's a good start, Blazer. Nice work there at Hawaii, man. What year is it? How far are you into that? Alright, so now we get to petition the board. Really like some upgraded facilities, guys. Anything we can get would be better than what we have. Pretty sure they're like a C-. See what the board had to say. Request denied. Not really a shock. Let's take a look here at school info. We are still at 4 prestige overall. So nobody's impressed with our 13-win regular seasons because we're not following up with anything in the conference tournaments. We're not qualifying for any other postseason tournaments. So the struggle will continue here for the Florida A&M Rattlers, especially if we lose Giles. You know, I think we could take a step forward if he stayed, but I'm definitely 90% convinced he's going to be headed out of here. So we're at the end of another season. I'm going to go ahead and save it. I appreciate you guys stopping by. We're going to wrap up the stream right here. Next time we'll get in, we'll show you how Season 4 recruiting goes at Florida A&M. Our coach continues to improve, so the recruiting's only going to pick up from here. And things are just going to keep on moving in the right direction, but it takes time to build up these small schools, and it's going to take time to build up our coach's reputation so he can get that either mid-major or Power 5 offer, whatever it is. If we want some good offers, we got to get that reputation up. The reputation is still at 11. I saw that when we were at the coach screen earlier, unmoved. So, guys, I appreciate you stopping by. Reach out to me if you got comments, suggestions, requests, any of that good stuff. But I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you all for stopping by, and I'll see you next time.